So hello everyone, I'm back, and yeah, I've ignored the two Dalmatians. That's something that's gone off in my life. So I'm back. So yeah, as you know, we're going on about what I've had specially made, the welded frame. I'll go into detail about that, which I guess we'll do now. You two behave. So I had this made at a new place. Basically, I've got a new job finally. I'm there for however long until I want to quit, and hopefully I'm going to stay there for 5 years, if not, hopefully. Going into detail, so I finally can get money. I'm going to probably just prat about. I'm trying to stay on topic. So yeah, I had this made. So basically what's wrong, there's nothing bad about it, it does work. So essentially it looks smaller and squat because I've designed it to this. Now, to the keen eye of an Imperial enthusiast, you can see something has been done. Don't worry, this is not what's being used because it is too small. I'm really sorry about this. I can't do anything because all my family's gone out and I've got to look after these two. Yeah, I know. So, yeah, so what I did was I wanted to... This is Imp X. This is a on and off project. So as you know, I've now got a job, to put it bluntly. So that means I'm on $10.42 an hour. I'm there every day, so I will be getting money. I've got yet to pay for these two. But yes, I'm somewhere I can get money finally. It's not on off with money once I've got money behind me, and I need to get him done for this year. To basically summarise what's finished. So as you know, the Imperials they're very slim. What I wanted to do, this idea is, I want to make my own Imperial in my image of what I always imagined them as a kid. I always, for some reason, remember them being very round, but of course, as you get older, you have an eye for detail, you know that's not the case. They're very slim in the centre. So what I did was, I drew out a massive circle in Fusion 360, and then whatever measurements it was, so 182 for that one, I just followed the line of the fin, so this makes it round. The front to back is about 90, but it does need to be full size, so I need to go even bigger. And I've basically scaled that out on a new piece of wood. Because, so yeah, that was built to this. So that was done, that frame was done to this. I've had a go on it. It does work as in getting over terrain, so that's the beauty of it. Luckily, with it being MIG welded, all I have to do is, I got it home because it was all the way from Wakefield, and it had to be done really quick. It was a quick job. It was made from some leftover scrap 25mm square tubing, which they were going to throw anyway, and I said, can I have this? And I showed them a picture. In their spare time, could these lads, well, I helped them alongside showing them. I did used to be a MIG welder, by the way, so I do know my ins and outs, but I wasn't allowed to touch the MIG welder because I'm not in that department, I'm in something else, so health and safety wise, he had to weld it up. I showed him and I more or less held certain parts. I gave him some 90-degree magnets to help him as a gift, and then I paid him fish and chips after. Essentially this was all free. Only thing that was expensive was the bowls, which were 35 quid each. I can't argue with that, and luckily I found some. So yeah, so all I have to do is, it's slightly different from the original ones. It's squatter, and like I say, squatters in height wise, and also squatters in front to back. There's not really a lot of room. But what can be done is cut out, and I put a cross beam in the centre, so it shouldn't, I mean, it's quite strong if you know MIG welding. For anyone who knows that type of thing, it is really strong stuff. But all I have to do is cut the 3 beams and have some new square tubing to then readjust it and then finally weld it into its final fin. Luckily, round the corner, I do have someone who does MIG welding as a company. Hopefully they're on board to help me with the other 4, which I'll explain. This was essentially meant to go in the Vengeance of the Daleks, which is top half stair, and I am still on with that, don't get me wrong. This is a demo to see if it really does work for the props. And I thought, why not just go full size for this, you know, Sinisto. I've always... Oh, for God's sake, and she's... not going right, is this? Sorry. So, and she knows the door's there. You know the door's over there. Luckily though, just doesn't matter, it's only a template. And it is too small. So yeah, I've rescaled it. It was only made quickly, so luckily I can have it cleaned up, chopped and made to the next fin. So I've had to do a bit of math, I've had to draw out the actual plans, I can't say, in Fusion 360 to map out and figure out where these balls go, because they're not in the base, they're in the skirt because of how large they are. I'm sure some people already know this. Calm down. So I've had to redraw it out, figure out what the skirt actually is, while maintaining the roundness instead of it being very thin. It looks very off at first for anyone who looks at it, but I've got to be honest, I really like this look. And the other thing that I've done, I'm making them more upright. So that means literally the back is literally vertical, 90 degrees for this version. And this, from there to there, it's normally 180, if I'm getting that right. No, 200, something like that. I've changed mine to 130 to make them even more steeper. And this is going to be my design, because I was looking through some old pictures, and as much as I love these, I mean, that one's good. As much as I love it, as much as I love this, and don't get me wrong, I am really happy and I will get it done. Go on. As much as I love it, I've just not had as much fun as when I first started out. I'm sure as people know, when you start your builds, when you're new to the world and, you know, Dalek building, it's really fun because you have no idea what you're doing. But now that I mean, the detail, as you know, now that I'm trying to go for accuracy, even though this is scaled down and smaller, you lose fun, if I'm honest, when you're trying to build something. For some reason, they're not as fun, even though it looks, I'm really happy with it, don't get me wrong, it's the most accurate one to date, but there's not as much fun. So I basically, when I did my first full fiberglass one, which I might have pictures, which should be showing off to the side now, that was my very first one. I had no idea what I was doing, it was completely inaccurate. At the time I thought it was good, and it was the fun that I made it really look chunky in certain places. So what I want to do with this is, again, make it more upright. It's now correct by shape wise, but have chunky belts, chunky slats, you know, and it's my own design. So that's essentially what it is. So yeah, that's basically what this is meant to be. But again, it's needed to be scaled up. It's rounder. People are probably wondering, where are the caster wheels on that? I didn't have time because I didn't have any. But essentially they're going to be just going on the base. So I can take this frame out when I want. Instead of taking the balls off the frame, I'll be taking the entire frame out or lifting the Dalek off, and it'll still have its casters for studio. So going from that, so people thinking, well, if they're too big to go in your actual Daleks for Vengeance and you want the wobble effect, well, how are you going to do it? They don't do any versions. I've come up with a solution, as again, I used to be a MIG welder. It's not easy, and I would put them in the cage, but they start then screaming, so there's no other solution. Like I say, everyone's out at the minute, I'm left with these two. As I used to be, yes, as I used to be a MIG welder, and I'll just put the camera down for a second. So I used to do a lot of welding, and as you know, and I'll probably show another picture, I made a metal Dalek at my first job, and I used a lot of these, which cost me about 200 quid for 200 of them. Oh no, it was a lot of money anyway, basically. Penny! So I thought, of course these are too small. Looked on the internet, you can get ones that are 209mm, and I thought, they come in halves. Drill them on the drill press, find the centre, have the guys weld them together and weld them onto a pole, and they're the ones actually that go, these are full size, so I'll be taking a mould of them as well. And I thought, just have them make up a frame now that I've got a Mark 1 to work from. They all have an idea of what I want. Go on. And yeah, so I'll have some metal versions instead, really strong. I was thinking on making fiberglass ones, but then that meant, even if I fiberglassed them two seams together and fiberglassed, I didn't know if that was still going to work, so metal it is. So there will be ones, quiet, There will be ones going in the Vengeance props, which is that one there. Ignore that, and that'll all be going down to the bottom. Eventually it will be finished, so it's only the Vengeance props. Don't know if this will be a part of Vengeance or if I'm going to completely redesign the paradigms. I've been thinking of my design of them. And this one is just a... This will actually be my Comic-Con Dalek once it's done. So for Dalek 02, if this might be the Dalek I might be eventually coming with you lot. And I've got the all-terrain system, so I can easily go over rough terrain. So yeah, I hope that's more or less explained it. I am really out of breath. It's really warm today, even though it's chucking it down here in the UK. As you couldn't gather, yeah, I've got that I'm painting currently. My bedroom's basically been redone, so it's no longer a workshop. I got 2 dogs, long story. I needed something to keep me occupied while I'm trying to build up money, as I am not really on the Daleks at the minute. As you know, I've now got a job, and good news also, I may be becoming an engineer if I go into the apprenticeship without boring people. This is good because I'm at 10:42. Apparently it starts off crap, I'm going to swear. It starts off crap at £7.50 when you first start your first year, then you go up to £10 something, then £15 after 3 years, and then the final year. This is where it's good, when then I'm then an engineer sort of thing. Stop it. Come here. Go on. Stop it. I'm nearly done with this video. The good news then is that they get paid so much. I've been then at £20, something like that. Yeah, I know. I've been then at £20, and that would help so much. Because people at work, basically, long story short, I know this is about Dalek building, but whoever enjoys watching me rant, I'm basically doing a certain job that doesn't pay me a lot for what I'm doing, and I've just been getting nothing but praise. So they've said, you need to go into being an engineer because you're doing too much for what you're being paid. So hopefully I'll be an engineer, Dalek-wise. And money-wise, things are starting to get sorted, but I've got to yet pay for these two, get that done, as I owe money from my mum, long story. And the bedroom, the garden is getting also cleared, so all that junk, you know, we can start fresh, as you can see. As well, it's been a long time, everything up there has been finished. Med room for the shuttle, I've been starting to think of how that's going to be done. But we've got to wait until I've got one of these made. Come on down, you. So yeah, that basically wraps it up. I know I've been a bit, I'm not great at remembering what I'm meant to be saying because I suffer with ADHD. But yeah, just so you know, I do need to get this done by the end of the year, so money will help a lot. Old TARDIS, bits like that are going. Special weapons is still going to be used. And you two, come on. And there's the template of the new one. You can barely see it because I've drawn it in barrow. Ignore the black one, it's not that one. So, she's climbing all over the Dalek. I'm really looking forward to when I get in a Dalek. I wonder if they're going to be terrified. Anyway, right, yeah, so, sorry this video was not in a straight line because of these two now. But that's basically what's happening for this Dalek, the all-terrain Dalek, as it's my take. And you two, stop. So I'll cut it here. See ya.